Uganda Family TV, and now majorly issues at hand. Of course, here we always brought to you by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, a place you definitely want to visit because of everything there, the accommodation, the services, and everything at, by the way, a friendly price in any circumstances that you need. Please make sure you reach out to Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Now today, interestingly, we're going to have a very interesting discussion here in Issues at Hand with, of course, the Executive Director of IPOD, which is the Inter-Party Organization Dialogue, and overseer, I could say, of all political parties in the country, Dr. Lawrence Kaggwa. You're most welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I want to begin by commending the work of Family TV, especially in strengthening the values of family, the pillars, the biggest pillar of society. The Church of Uganda, for a job well done, and you, the staff of Family TV. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Now, today we are going to talk about the continued rivalry in political parties and also the performance of the 11th Parliament. You've seen so many people post on their social media accounts that this Parliament is in drama, this Parliament is doing this, they're always doing that. But all that is in our discussion today. Now, Doctor, you're going to allow me, first and foremost, to tell us what the purpose or responsibility of IPOD is in regards to overseeing these political parties.
Thank you very much. IPOD, is just a short form for the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue. IPOD was formed in 2010. At that time, political parties came together, and they felt like, you know, Uganda was still nurturing, was still very, very young in terms of multi-party democracy. And so, with the support from the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy, or NIMD, which is also operational in Uganda, political parties were advised to come together with a view to nurturing multi-party democracy, but also to commonly focus on the objectives that benefit all of them. I mean, beyond being a member of a given political party, we have common objectives that bring us together. For instance, development of the country is very important. Ensuring that we have peace. I mean, it's an effort of everybody in the country to ensure that the Uganda we live in is peaceful, serves the interest of everybody, and we are all beneficiaries. And so the biggest objective of IPOD is to ensure that there is mutual coexistence, mutual respect, growth, and inculcation of multipartyism in Uganda. Okay. That is our major objective. Yes, I mean, one of the theories of human existence is that conflict has a humanistic approach. In other words, where you have human relations, there will definitely be conflict. And so IPOD, cognizant of the conflict that naturally arises because of the differences in views, comes in to say, okay, despite those differences, can we work together for a common good of this country?
Okay.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. Now, Doctor, I understand there are so many rivalries in political parties. Now, you see, like if I can give an example of the FDC, it has now two factions, one in Katonga and another one in Najanankumbe, and we also have the UPC, who came out, was it, I think, last week or something? They want to pull out Kenya from office, and according to the law, what they went through. What is IPOD doing to envision its the unity in mitigating such rivalries in political parties?
Yeah, we definitely know, like I said, that at the foundation of IPOD, it was envisaged that conflict would exist. So our focus, even when we are trying to deal with conflict, we look at inter-party conflict, but also intra-party. intra-party in the sense that, I mean, citing those examples you have, basing myself on the examples you've cited. And so one of the things that IPOD, for instance, the last memorandum of understanding that ran us from 2016 up to 2021, one of the things we worked very, very much towards was ensuring that these political parties that subscribe to parliament, you know, IPOD is not open to all political parties. We are only open to political parties that have a public mandate with representation in parliament.
Oh.
So we right now, it is only the political parties in parliament that are members of IPOD.
Okay.
And probably not all, because it is on the volition of a political party that it chooses to join or not.
Oh.
They have to exercise their mandate. So what we basically do is we support political parties build their capacity to deal with conflicts, but we have gone a notch higher. In the memorandum of understanding that we are currently running with 2022 to 2026, there is the leadership of IPOD saw it wise to create a specific committee, which is the Conflict Resolution Committee. And this committee is meant to, first of all, make an assessment of the nature of conflict. First of all, do a mapping of conflict, assess the nature of that conflict, and come up with mechanisms of trying to deal with those conflicts in whichever manner they arise.
Okay.
So, beyond the formation of that of the Conflict Resolution Committee, IPOD reaches out to political parties and says, okay, we know there is this and that, but if you feel we can be of value to support you in dealing with this conflict, IPOD is ready. And the reason why we do that is because political parties are legal entities that exercise their powers in accordance to their volition. So if a party so wishes, they will reach out and say, okay, IPOD would like to seek your help with managing this conflict. If they feel they can manage it internally, it is also perfectly well. So yes, we know that those conflicts exist, and they definitely affect the cohesion, because one of the things we also work at is the cohesion of the political parties, which are the aggregation of public interest, aggregation of views of the public. By the time a member of the public, a community member, so wishes to join, say, Democratic Party, Forum for Democratic Change, Justice Forum, People's Progressive Party, National Resistance Movement, NUP, NRM, or UPC, they have identified themselves with the belief of that political party, or their ambition. And so the political party brings together all those aspirations. But if they feel that this conflict can be managed internally, then it is perfect.
Okay.
So IPOD will support if the political party has expressed interest in helping them deal with that particular conflict.
Okay.
So I can say that right now, with the conflicts that are ongoing, yes, we know that even in a family, there will definitely be these issues. But we do not want to so much poke into the parties and say, okay, there is this. The other thing that I would also like to inform our viewers know is that even before we get into, say, now the factionalism, I want to put it in quotes. The register of political parties in Uganda is the Electoral Commission. And so, Electoral Commission, at the beginning of each cycle, electoral cycle, we seek to hear from them and say, okay, who are the duly elected and recognized leaders, or what is the leadership of these political parties? And so, Electoral Commission shares with us that information. Unless there is a communication to the contrary, we maintain that. So right now, with the conflicts you've talked about in the political parties, we've not had a different position or a communication from Electoral Commission to suggest otherwise. And so I can say that right now, unless something else happens, the leadership then is what we are still dealing with.
Okay.
And if there is any need for supporting them to address the conflicts, that's what we expect from them.
Okay, so meaning you are only going to wait for the party to reach out to you so that you can come in and help, even when you're seeing the conflict.
No, that is a reactive. So we basically have two, I should say, two agendas. We have a proactive and then a reactive agenda.
Okay.
I can tell you, for instance, at the public onset of the conflict, for instance, in the Forum for Democratic Change, we reached out to them. We reached out to them with the warring sides when we discovered that there is this kind of unfolding of events. We issued a statement, asked them to, first of all, get the issues out of the public, because I mean that was in a way escalating things. We asked them to exercise restraint, and we also pointed it out to them that in case they felt that IPOD collectively they would need the services of IPOD in dealing with the conflict, then we were ready. So that is our proactive agenda. Okay. The reactive agenda is the other part of where the party reaches out and says, okay, we need your support in managing this. Okay. So yes, it is at the two levels. Because again, like I said, a conflict in a political party of any nature definitely affects the politics of this country. It definitely affects the growth of multipartyism that we have tried to nurture, at least for the last 18 years. And so it is imperative that we work together, both at IPOD, which is an aggregation of all political parties, but also as parties that look to the leadership of this country. Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. So are there any specific instances where you successfully held a dialogue between parties? Could you have such events? Have you had such events and they came to terms with it, something like that?
Well, it is true we have held such events. But you know, one of the things that as IPOD we do not do is to define the outcome.
Okay.
Our aspiration is that this dialogue process of managing the conflict within a party yields a desirable result that is satisfactory to the two warring factions, if I may use the word warring factions. But I think preferably it should be disagreeing factions. And so I remember in 2020, yes, 2020, we had a scenario where there was disagreement in the leadership of Democratic Party. We had interfaces, we had dialogues with the two sides. We had one side then that I think considered that there was a lot of things that were not going in accordance with their constitution. I remember that delegation had Honorable Medad Lubega Segona. It had the chairman of Wachiso, Honorable Matia Rwangabwanika. There were quite a number of leaders. They came to IPOD, we met with them, and we had a discussion. We listened to them. We had a similar discussion with the leadership of Honorable Mao, the President General of DP, and Dr. Siranda, the Secretary General. We had a leadership. We had that discussion. Unfortunately, again, like I said, that we encourage dialogue. We also facilitate that. But at the end of the day, it is upon the actors to show the willingness to continue. One of our cardinal principles in IPOD is utmost good faith. So we expect that the leaders of the groups that all, the sides that have disagreements have the utmost good faith to deal with the conflict at hand. At the time, we did not see that come to the fruition that we expected, because again, as you know, until now, the issue still exists. Yeah, but at least we have made effort. We have made effort to reach out to them. Okay. We have had discussions with them, but the determination of the outcome of that discussion is incumbent upon the people in the question. Yeah.
Okay, now, in light to our political tension in the country, majorly in the political parties, what are some of the challenges that you face majorly when you are promoting cooperation between political parties? Because I'm imagining someone out there would want to know how NUP and NRM are going to sit on the same table and start discussion. What are some of the challenges you're facing in promoting this cooperation?
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges is the interest of political parties to change. That's, I mean, it's a given. Even me, at a personal level, my interests today will be different from what they will be tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, so the change of interests, you look at it, and then or a political party looks at it, because it's a consultative process. In IPOD, we have each political party has a representation of 4 delegates, led by the Secretary General of a political party.
Okay.
Plus the other senior members. We normally have the Secretary General of a political party. We have the whip in the parliament of that political party, and then 2 other senior members, one of whom must be a female. That is our basis of this membership. So one of the challenges we have is, like I've said, the changing interests. So a political party comes in today, we start the dialogue process very well, and then when they consult with their leaders, depending on the outcome of the initial discussion, it changes. So when the interest of a political party changes, in a way it also affects the direction of the dialogue process. That's one. Then 2, there are a number of other things that influence the dialogue process. For instance, we may not know the individual actions of some party members, which in a way may influence the happenings at the dialogue table. For instance, you know that especially post-2021, we had a lot of things that were happening.
Yeah, sure.
From some agencies of government may look at one thing from a different perspective. I mean, in a perspective that is different from how we look at it in IPOD. Because we are not experts in that area, we may not see certain things, but they will see certain things. There was a security concern at the time, 2021, and definitely that in a way also affected the way dialogue went the other side. But I also want to put it, and I should be more specific. In 2021, there was a lot of arrests made by security, and some of whom have been prosecuted, and some others, the process is still ongoing. In 2021, quite a number of people then that were arrested were believed to be of a political party, NUP. But after the elections, we had one of the engagements, one of our IPOD engagements, we call it a summit. IPOD is arranged in such a manner that it has 3 layers. We have the summit, which is where the presidents of political parties sit. Then we have the IPOD Council of Secretaries General, which is headed by the 4 leaders from each political party. This is the one that transacts the dialogue business of the IPOD. And then the third one is the secretariat. So those 3 layers. So at that time in March 2021, the engagement we had was the summit, which is where the presidents of political parties sit. And I remember in that engagement, the President General of DP, President Museveni, as the national chairman of NRM, was in attendance. The President General of DP, the Honorable Norbert Mao, put it to President Museveni and said, Your Excellency, yes, here we are equals in as far as we are members of summit and in as far as we are presidents or chairpersons of political parties. But I want to bring something to your attention. Some of the people that were arrested by security are actually people that are not active politically. And I remember, because I was in attendance,
Yes.
Honorable Mao mentioned a particular name and said, well, there is one individual. And the president said, oh, I didn't know. So what he did was he said, well, I am going to engage. And after a few days, these people were released. So yes, there are quite a number of things that will affect, but we also must be cognizant of the fact that IPOD does not exist in isolation of what happens elsewhere in in the country. So we have to strike a balance and say, okay, we'll let other actors do what they are supposed to do, and we will also do what we are supposed to do. If we get to a level where we feel that dialogue, what we fathom as IPOD, is one way that will help us solve the impasse in question, then we will engage with the respective agency. Okay. The other thing that I should say also affects, and I think this should be the biggest, is party discipline, the discipline of party members. I think we are at a level which the discipline of party members, I want to coincide it with the appreciation of multipartism. Okay. I think we have not yet gotten to that level of appreciating the working of multi-party democracy. Yes, people apart from saying I belong to this political party, this is what I subscribe to, we are not yet at a level where people have gotten to understand. I'll give you an example. If you look at Kenya, the politics is very, very fluid. Today you're a member of this political party A, tomorrow you'll be political party B, the other day you are political party C. If you look at the leadership in Kenya, for instance, it has been evolving. President Ruto has been, I think, a member of several political formations.
Yeah, sure.
And the Kenyans have embraced it. So, because the issue is my interests today will change, and I will move to a political party that espouses my interests, my aspirations. I mean, it is that. So, people have not yet embraced and understood it, and because of that, they have ended up branding their leaders something. Today they are sellouts, they are this and that. So that has in a way affected. In fact, it has eroded this country of what would be very good political leaders. So people have taken a back seat, and that continually affects how we operate, especially in the dialogue space.
Okay, that's really interesting. And of course, for the person out there, I want to, before we go for a short break, I want you to help me convey a message about the importance of having this party cooperate, working together. What is the importance of having political parties cooperating?
It is extremely, extremely important. I mean, you may need to look at the cooperation between political parties in a manner that is similar to a family.
Okay.
If the father, and this time within political parties, I want to do away with the power dynamics and relations. That one is bigger, the father as being the head of the family. But even if the father being the head of the family if the father does not work well with the mother, the husband and wife do not work together, then the children will also not, I mean, imagine the father waking up in the morning, doing whatever they want, the mother doing whatever they want, the children doing whatever they want. So the erosion of that, of the working together, greatly affects the whole structure of a family. And so is the same. If political parties, because these are the leaders we have. They're the policy makers, they do the appropriation of the budgets, which affects the quality of life we live. If they do not work together, for us as Ugandans, the ordinary Ugandans, we're going to be affected. We're going to be definitely affected, and not only in terms of the quality of life we live, but even the other aspects. We'll not be able to work. I will not be able to, you know, to walk to family TV studios and have this discussion, because along the way there's going to be lots of things that are going to happen. I will not make it. And so, to the general public out there, I think we need to come to a level. And you know, one of the things that we have espoused in IPOD is that dialogue does not necessarily mean that we have agreed. We will agree to disagree. We will say, okay, that is the stand of the majority, but for us, we will not agree with that. But you know, at the end of the day, we have to find a way forward for this country. Okay. Otherwise, if we do not, then we are going to be affected. And we cannot be talking about the future if we do not build the foundation of the future with the present. So members of the public, when you see your leaders engaging with the leaders from other political parties, it's not that they have sold you out. It's not that they have been bought off. It's not that, you know, they are working for their stomachs, but they've gone to that table to discuss the future of this country that benefits us all, the leaders and those that they lead collectively.
Okay, that is really interesting. And of course, we're still having an important discussion here with Dr. Lawrence of the ED of IPOD, the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, an overseer for political parties here in Uganda. And when we return, we're going to talk about the level of debate in Parliament. You see, we've been having a lot of issues, but let's dive into it after the short break.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
When people die, they are good. A dead body is always good. He has done us good. We cannot replace him. There's no one who is repressible. There's no one. But what can help you? It is to leave a good legacy that people will remember you.
Sometimes I share with my students a small story of an animal which normally is regarded to be the wisest, the hare. Once in a meeting of animals chaired by the lion, which was the king of the animals, he said that all those who are in the meeting and are not married should go out. This is for the marrieds. And then the hare put up a hand. I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Yes. What is it? He said, what about some of us who sleep like married people? Should we also go?
And may I say to those of you who are not yet married, determine what kind of family you want to raise. Because the family that you raise, the children that you get, you will either sink them or you will raise them up to be good citizens and good people in the church.
If you read Proverbs 16:1, they tell you that the plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord.
Because we all need love. As long as we are humans, we need love. Now he says yes, but I'm praying that you will experience the greater love.
Family Hour, empowering families one episode at a time. Together, we build strong, healthy, and thriving families with our daily dose of inspiration and expert insights on topics that matter, like education and career growth.
Education deals with the minds of our younger children.
We want to see more model schools.
Family health.
Well, the public is advised to follow the Ministry of Health guidelines.
Finance and wealth.
As the government, as the parliament, we can plug those gaps so that the money that we collect from the wananchi give value to the wananchi.
Leadership and governance.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Welcome back. It is Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe that is gearing us up in this cold weather. I don't know, you could make a choice of going there to sleep if at all you don't have what to do today. But of course the discussion here is continuing, and we are going to discuss the level of debate in Parliament, in our 11th Parliament of the country. The public has come out to say lots of things. There have been, the Parliament is so dramatic. The Parliament is only discusses parties, it discusses barriers, it is always in fights, things like that. And you see opposition shunning proceedings. So the electorates out there are confused on the kind of parliament we are having in this 11th setting, of course. Now, Dr. Lawrence Kaggwa, the Executive Director of IPOD, an organization that oversees the political parties in the nation, is here with us still to discuss now this. And now my question, Doctor, to you is, how does IPOD view the parliamentary proceedings in Uganda currently?
Well, thank you very much. I wouldn't say that as IPOD we have a collective perspective to the parliamentary proceedings. Okay. But we also know that I earlier on said that politics is one of the most fluid terrains you'll find. The politicians will tell you that one day in politics is too big to cause a significant change. Okay. So the debate in Parliament, if you follow what happens, we need to appreciate that the Parliament that we have had, the Parliament that we have today, if you look at the parliaments, the parliaments we have had in Uganda. Look at the parliament before 2006. 2006, look at from when, say, President Museveni came to power in 1986 up to 2006. The parliamentary sessions were very different. And actually, quite a number of leaders will tell you that debate then in Parliament was much higher. And after 2006, there was some level of fall in the quality of debate. But we may want to look at it a little deeper. How different was the Parliament then to what the Parliament is today? We had a movement system. We had a movement system, and when the movement system was in place, there was a closely knit perspective to life and to the politics. It's different today. Political parties operate in their own enclosures. They have their own interests. At the time, there was one general whipping of the members of Parliament and getting them focused to one specific idea or perspective. Today it's different. That's why we have caucuses in parliament. One political party will come up and they will say, okay, our strategy to this is this. And that is what is going to drive their discussion in parliament. So, yes, there is a general recognition that there is a drop in the level of the quality of debate. But we also need to look at the other issues that surround it, that surround what influences. A lot of things have happened. Today in Uganda, we are 40-something million. That time, I think we're about to 30-something.
Yes.
The parliament then was smaller. Today, it has exploded
Yes.
into 500. When I was in P7, we had I don't know how many districts. Today, if you asked, many people may not be able to tell you the number of districts.
Yeah.
You meet on the street. Is this an MP? You cannot tell. At the time, things were different. The people had enough time to speak, raise issues that were pertinent, but that's not the same today. I remember actually one of the members of parliament saying that one of the ways to catch the speaker's attention is you have to get out of the ordinary. If the speaker has to catch your attention and then give you an opportunity to speak. That wasn't the case. So yes, even as we look at the quality of debate, we must understand it in terms of what are the other confounding factors that may have led to that kind of situation.
Okay.
I think we may not necessarily be very satisfied by the quality of debate in our parliament. But it is interesting. If you looked around some other countries, we're not unique. We're not unique. In certain other parliaments, it will be a rumble.
Yes.
A rumble, shout and shout and shout, and at the end of the day, close. Go home. But yes, in Uganda, despite some of those things, we have not seen a situation where it has ended in that for quite a number of sessions. Yes, we have had some unfortunate events, like during the time of the Tojikwatako.
Oh yeah, sure.
The last 2 weeks, we have also seen some kind of behavior that in a way has compromised the integrity of the honorable status of parliament. But I wouldn't say that, for me, I wouldn't say it is the status quo. Yes, we have seen situations where we have had the policies passed on a bipartisan nature. Take an example of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, the bill rather. It was passed unanimously across the political divides. And so, yes, we have had some of those challenges, but I wouldn't say that they define the nature. We may agree that if we compare these parliaments, last parliament, current parliament, to the other parliaments, there is a noticeable drop in the level of debate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can the minds of the electorate out there be twisted to how do they be convinced that this is not dramatic?
I think one of the challenges, one of the challenges we have, government through I think the media center has tried to bridge that. Unfortunately, it has not yielded the desirable result. The parliamentary sessions are usually, and I think always, aired on the national broadcaster.
Yes, yes.
But the time that they are aired coincides with when people are hustling out there.
Oh, yes.
So I think the first thing that we may need to interest ourselves in as a general public is how does Parliament conduct its business in a multi-party political environment? That would be very, very important. And once we have understood that, then we will be able to say, okay, what is happening in Parliament meets the expectations or falls below the quality. That's the most important thing. Okay. Then secondly, I think Parliament, for me, needs to do a little more in terms of outreaches, taking Parliament to the people. You know, if you go to Parliament, yesterday I was at Parliament, and the kind of rigor that you go through accessing Parliament, yes, it is. It's a place that has to be well protected, well guarded. But I think if somebody were not resilient enough, getting there somebody would easily say, I give up. So I think now that we know there's a little bit of difficulty in the public accessing Parliament, then Parliament should do the reverse and say, how do we bring Parliament to people? Okay. And say, okay, for certain things we could do, you know. I remember there was a time, I can't recall exactly when parliamentary committees would do visits and hold their sessions in the field. Unfortunately, the public has a feeling which I think is not right of those are their things. You know, the moment you get to the level where you say it is their things, then you have absconded from your duty of holding your leaders accountable and ensuring that they deliver in accordance to the manifesto, to the expectations that you voted for at whatever level. So I think, yes, it begins with us, the public, ensuring that we interest ourselves in the operations of Parliament.
Yeah. Okay, and now maybe my last one, in accordance to what do you have in store as IPOD to ensure that there is cooperation between political parties, maybe to work together for the betterment of the country, regardless of their differences?
Yeah, we have quite a number of things in stock. One, I talked about the fact that it is in our DNA. The last word in IPOD, dialogue, is the DNA of IPOD. So the first thing is we are continuing with dialogue. We are being proactive in terms of reaching out to the political parties. We have very robust programs that we want to implement in terms of building and strengthening the capacity of political parties to become functionally viable so that they are able to represent the interests of the public. And this is not only with the political party in its grand structure, but even the substructures. And our major interest is the youth leagues, the women leagues. We are working all, because these two cohorts represent the majority of the population of this country. And so, yes, we are still doing that. We are also, we have an active agenda on engaging with other stakeholders, especially government agencies. We will be sooner than later engaging with the leadership of Parliament. For instance, to say, okay, how do we, as IPOD, how do we work with Parliament to ensure that we, because the members there, the political parties there are our members. So we have a common denominator in as far as political parties are concerned between us and Parliament. And we ought to interest ourselves in how they perform in Parliament. So, yes, like I've said, we'll be reaching out to government agencies, Electoral Commission, for instance. See how do we work together. We are also working on reforms, policy reforms. We are heading into the elections period. This is 2023. Next year, political parties and individuals will be beginning to organize themselves. So we want to also reach out and say, okay, how do we have reforms electoral and all other laws that serve the interests of political parties and the general public collectively to the benefit of us all. So yes, we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things that we are working on, and we are sure that we have the common appreciation of what these issues are and how they affect individuals and the political parties. What we want to do is to generate a common policy agenda that pushes them forward to ensure that nobody is left behind. Yeah, that's what we are working on.
Okay, that is really interesting. It has been Dr. Lawrence Kaggwa who has been giving us insights about the political parties and what they should really do to have a harmony, to have something we can be proud of as a nation, that political parties work together to have this. It has been an interesting one. Of course, with me, Luke Alnaito, sitting in for Carol Noamani, and we've been powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. It has been a nice morning with you watching us out there. Good morning from us here.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.